So Vinay, we have candidate Mr. Tushar here, who is enrolled for both Linux and Python training course.
Yes.
Tushar, we have a trainer,
Hi, sir.
Mr. Vinay.
Okay.
You can ask your queries and whatever doubts you can always ask him. Okay.
All right. Hi, Tushar. Good morning.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
So Tushar, can you quickly introduce yourself and then just help me with your background of currently what are you doing, and then are you a
Yes,
student or a working professional? What's your total years of experience in that case and things like that?
yes. Yes. Sir, I am from Kollam, Kerala, and I passed out in 2016. I'm a postgraduate. My basic graduation in mechanical engineering. After my post graduation, I worked around 2.5 years in mechanical side. But after the end of 2018, uh, actually, I quit the job and trying for government sectors.
Okay.
Till last month, I trying for government jobs, but I couldn't crack anyone. They just going by 2 or 3 marks anyway, railway or gate exams like that. Uh, so that's why I'm here to study the Linux and Python because I really like to move to IT sector.
Sure. Okay. So currently, which company you mentioned? Sorry.
A company actually from 2016 to 2018 February, I worked in SR Steel sir, as a mechanical supervisor.
Okay.
Uh, and after that, from April to 2018 July, I had a contract-based job in Indonesia. That too in mechanical side as a piping engineer.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I quit the job, sir. Total mechanical side, I quit and try for government sector, both state and central exams. But
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't crack this, and I have no idea about IT sector, and I don't have that much idea in Linux and Python. But so
Okay.
many neighbors and people are telling me to do this course because this is having so many opportunities. So many friends also telling like that.
Okay. Great.
Yes,
So you have a experience, but worked on different technologies, which
yes,
is closely with what you have studied. That is mechanical engineering, right?
yes, sir. Yes, correct.
Okay. Very good. So how does Python will value add to your existing experience, and then what domains that you can choose from is something which we can discuss further.
Okay,
Also, there are few companies where um, mechanical is heart of it, but technology is a brain to drive those companies, right? For example, if you look at Quest, um, which is there in Bangalore and in other many places, they are basically they deal with day in day out on the mechanical front. They build
okay,
designs, they build some of the prototypes and things like that, and then they use IT heavily to deliver the results for their customers. I hope you have used the tools like SolidWorks, AutoCAD, and
yes.
other stuff, right?
I have that
Yeah,
certification. Not a case. Sorry.
very good, very nice. Um, so in Python, you have certain modules which will enable you to automate some of the stuff, and also there are certain modules which you can explore once you have the basic understanding of how to use this to simulate drawing, or to write up a drawing, or you know um, do certain automations at the task that you do it in AutoCAD or something like that. So that is there is a tool called as PyGUI,
Okay.
Python GUI automation, where you can automate the front end activities, like I'm moving the mouse or I'm clicking somewhere. All those things can be automated. Okay.
Okay.
um, so Linux is one of the most widely used operating system when it comes to servers, right? For the
Okay.
desktop class, it is still better, but people in the olden days, they are pretty much used to Windows, like for close to 20 plus years, and or 20 30 years now, because
Yes.
Windows was started somewhere in 84, and then people started using the actual GUI front end of Windows from 90s onwards. So it's
Yes.
close to 30 years now. Yeah, 30 plus years.
Yes.
So with that, the user interface makes more sense for the end users to do their day-to-day activities. But when it comes to Linux, the Linux specialization is all about stability, availability,
Ah,
portability, and uh, very important thing is about scalability, right?
no.
So what do you mean by availability? Always available is something which is availability in your if I want to give an example of mechanical engineering. So your devices like pipes and certain gears and things like that, it will have some um, lifetime, right? So the gears will come for 5 years, or
Okay.
this petrol pipes or something like that will come for next 2 years or 3 years. There will be some date or time
Yes.
or end of life that is defined for each and every product. For example, if you take a two-wheelers chain sprocket, that people say
Yes.
that will last, this will last longer for 20,000 kilometers or 3 to 4 years, right?
Yes.
So something like that. So here in computers, you can't have a downtime, right? If you go to
Yes.
an ATM and then somebody says that server is not working, so how do you feel it, right? And then
Oh.
if you go to IRCTC to book a ticket from Bangalore to Kerala, now you can't do. But in reality, that is not available, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, you cannot have a downtime when you try to go and then say it's not available, and then this is not working and that is not working. So how do you feel it? So it's impossible in the current world, right? So
Yes.
it should be always on. It should be always working. When you click it, it should actually do the task what it's supposed to, right? Um, that is the state of automation, or that is the level of IT that we have in our lives, right?
Yes.
90% of the world today, they rely on Linux to run the services which they
Okay.
offer over the web. Now everything is on the web, or everything is on the internet, right?
Yes.
If you can you use your mobile phone without the data?
Without the data, I cannot use it.
You can make some calls or send a SMS, but who will read the SMS today, right? By
Yes.
default, everyone looks at their WhatsApp, their FB chat, or something like that, right? And
Yes.
then if you want to do anything or everything, like if you want to pay, you need the internet and then connectivity. So you need a Paytm, you need so many apps which are dependent on the internet. So internet has become a bread and butter for everything. And then what powers the internet is Linux,
Okay.
right? 80 plus percentage of the world's web servers are running on Linux. So there are there are topics that we are going to touch upon in Linux, which explains about how to run your own website, or how to build your own website and then launch it or host it in different service providers or on the cloud. Yeah. So there are
Okay.
different ways to look at it. To name a few of the Linux-based services or servers,
Okay.
Apache is one, which is the world's most widely used web server. And then you have MySQL database, which is again the most widely used open source database server, right?
Okay.
PHP, if you look at Facebook today, is running on PHP, right?
Yes.
PHP is again an open source platform to launch your websites, and then interactive web services like Facebook, Instagram, and so many other products which they have built on top of it. So what are the things that we are going to cover in the basics, right? So in Sunny, did you send the PDF format to him, the courseware materials?
Yes, sir. I have the syllabus content in PDF
Okay, okay.
for both.
So yeah, so as I said, this is purely um, a server class operating system focused on running the enterprise class services and things like that. So
Oh,
we will be having very less interaction through the UI.
okay.
That means user interface. Like
Okay.
what you see, I hope you have connected via laptop, right?
Yes, yes, correct.
So in laptop now you can see a Windows where you can see my name, you can see Sunny's name, and then Tushar. They're all like in graphics, right? When it
Yes.
comes to Linux, it is purely runs on command line. That
Oh,
means you will find lots of you are going to interact with the computer through commands instead of point and click. Tushar, can you share your screen so that we can open some documentation part of it, and then you can start having the online notes.
okay. Sir, is it okay?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Oh,
Can you go to Docs, Google Docs? Just type docs.google.com. Yeah, click on new one. Okay, so you can save this as Linux day one. On the top left, you see untitled document.
yes, yes. Untitled. Yeah.
Yeah, click on that, and then you can save it as Linux day one. Okay, okay. So just to give you a little more information about how the Linux was evolved. This is walking through the history of Linux. Okay, so in the beginning days when the computers
Oh,
were eventually started, we were all using something called as mainframes, right? Way back in 50s or 60s, the way of computing was only because
okay.
of mainframes, and mainframes had some dummy terminals where people used to provide the information so that it was centrally processed in a network, right? So that was a mainframe computing. And then came Dennis
Oh,
Ritchie and others. They in Bell Labs, they developed something called as Unix operating system, which became a micro or mini computer based operating system where people could have their own personal computers to work on, and then they can
oh,
connect they can still connect to a main server, and from there they can perform the activities. So that was invented, or that was developed in Bell Labs by Dennis Ritchie and team, who is the father of C and other many languages. So Unix was very popular at that time, but it was not free, right? People have to
oh,
pay for it, and then to buy an operating system at that time, it was equally the cost of the hardware, right? It used to cost the same amount what they used to pay for the laptop. I mean, at those times it was desktops, for the same amount of desktops. And then
oh.
came Sun Microsystems, who built, you might have heard of something called as Solaris, right?
Solaris.
Solaris, yeah, Solaris is another operating system which was very famous, and it became one of the de facto standards to run anything on Unix, right? So before Solaris, there was something called as a SCO. SCO Unix was also there. So these are the companies which they use the Unix operating system built by Dennis Ritchie and then customized it by adding many things on top of it. So Linus Torvalds, who was actually studying in his college days, he took out of the interest as a project during his vacation, and then he started working on building on top of Unix, his own version of Unix. So he realized that people are paying so much of money to the software where it has been developed by many contributors. So this has to be changed from a software which is a paid version to a software which is a free version. So what he did was he developed that his own version of operating system, or the kernel, which we call it in general. Linux is just a kernel. On top of the kernel, there are so many other open source packages or softwares which run together. So you can just make a note of Linux kernel in that Google Doc. And the person who invented Linux, or father of Linux, is Linus Torvalds. So it is Linux kernel, KERNEL. Yeah. So whatever we note down here, uh, as a rule of thumb, you need to go back and then Google search it, okay, to get more information about what exactly this is. Like, do a deep dive. Okay, I'll give you pointers what you need to read and study, and then on top of it you need to do a deep dive on what are those things. Okay, so that's the way of that's the way how I teach, right? So basically I'll give you the pointers of what you need to read, and basically you need to go back and then do the further reading. So all this information will be freely available in Wikipedia. Okay.
Okay.
So Linux kernel, the father of Linux is Linus Torvalds, add S after D. So he is the one who's conceptualized a Linux kernel, and then he threw it to the the set of developers who are again having the same like-minded thoughts that the software should be free and things like that. So then um, you know people started liking it. It was stable, it was free to use, and then it was very small and then fast to use. In those days, people used to install the software using floppy drives, right?
Okay.
Have you seen
Yes,
floppy drive?
yes, sir. It's a long back.
Yeah. So the maximum capacity of floppy drive, do you know how much it used to be?
Maximum capacity, I think maybe less than 500 MB.
Yes, not even less than 500 MB. It is 1.4 MB,
Oh,
right?
sorry, sir.
So if you want to install an operating system, there used to be 10 floppy drives. That means 20 MB or like 30 MB used to be the maximum capacity of the software. In those days, transferring the internet was not so much free. It was very less availability for the people. So especially for the general public, people who used to work in or learn in universities, only those people had the connections, and then they used to make use of the internet for their learning purposes. It was not generally available like this. And then once the kernel was built, people started sharing the kernel to each other, and then they started adding softwares on top of it. There was you can just make a note of it, that GNU, all in caps. Yes.
GNU.
Yeah, just Google for this. GNU are the list of softwares which are made available freely for to run on top of Unix or Unix-like operating system. It could be Emacs, it could be so many other softwares which are available under GNU. So now it comes to the fact, right now you are using Windows. You have paid like around 2,000 or 3,000 rupees for your Windows, right, while buying the laptop. um, I don't know what model of laptop you are using, but usually they will charge for operating system. But when you use Linux, the operating system comes for free, right?
Yes.
So that is the difference between Windows or any other operating systems. But in Linux, there are different types of operating systems. Um, in Windows, you will find only Windows 7, Windows. There are different versions, but you will not find different people who are making Windows. It is only Microsoft which makes the Windows for all of us.
Okay.
In Linux, it is a different thing where people take the open source kernel, that is what made by Linus Torvalds, and then they have customized it according to the customer's requirement. So in the top
Sir, actually,
three,
one doubt. Sir, one doubt. You just said about Linux kernel. So, what is sir? Kernel means what, sir? Actually, I couldn't
yeah,
know what is kernel.
I'll come to that. We will have a deep dive session on that. But I'll tell you what is kernel in a minute. The different types of operating systems what we have in Linux, if you can just make a note of it. Especially the top 5 of them are one is types of Linux. Hit enter and then tab. Press tab. Yeah. Red Hat. Enter SUSE, SUSE. Enter Debian. Enter Ubuntu.
Debian.
Okay, and others. You can just put it as others. Okay, so most widely used operating systems are these, like Red Hat, SUSE, Debian, Ubuntu, and there are so many other flavors are also available. Right, there are like thousands of different operating systems you will find. So we usually call it as types of Linux flavors. After Linux, you can just put flavors there. Like how you find different ice cream flavors, similarly people term it as Linux flavors. Okay.
Flavor.
Yeah, right. So these are the different types of operating system. So after Red Hat, you within the bracket you can put go to that Red Hat line. Within the bracket you can put Fedora.
Sir, actually, your voice is cracking. I couldn't hear you. Once more, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me now, Tushar? Okay, so click
Yes, yes. Now,
next to,
okay, no problem.
yeah, click next to Red Hat, and then within the bracket you type Fedora slash
Fedora.
CentOS.
Dash.
CENTOS. Okay, so there are like in any product, right? Before you put it into the market, you will do some testing, right? Whether
Yes.
that works properly or not. So any features that they want to test and then ask users to test it, they will usually do it in Fedora version. Okay, Fedora is a testing version of Red Hat, where people, whoever have developed something, they will put under Fedora operating system. They will test it out, whether it works or are there any bugs, how do we make it stable. So once that
Okay.
Fedora has been completely tested by all the people who are using around the world, they will push it to the free or open source version of Red Hat, which is called as CentOS.
Okay.
Okay, so CentOS is stable, but the features of whatever is there in Fedora are not equivalent to CentOS, because CentOS is stable means anything which is already past the testing phase and it is stable, ready to use, will go to CentOS. So like Fedora, the stable version of the packages or the software which are there in Fedora, that will be pushed to something called as CentOS. I'll type it in the chat box. You can copy paste that. If you see the chat, I put the name of the operating system. It is called as CentOS. Okay.
Center.
So that CentOS, which you have already captured, right? So CentOS is the stable version, right? Fedora is a testing version. CentOS is a stable version, but it is
So
free.
free. Okay. Stable version.
Stable version free. But Red Hat is still free, but support is charged.
Okay. Red Hat is still free. Red Hat is free, but support charges. Okay, sir.
Okay. So far you are clear.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Clear, sir. Clear.
to answer your question, what is kernel? So if I want to compare kernel to our human body, kernel is our
Okay.
heart of the operating system. That means without a kernel, operating system will not work. Okay. So it will maintain the complete end-to-end functionality of your operating system. It will talk to the hardware, and then it will connect those pointers of hardware activity, what you do from the software, and then that will be connected to the software. Like how do I put it? It goes like this, right? Now you are typing something as kernel, right? So you are pressing a key
Yes.
on your keyboard, right? What is
Yes.
keyboard? Keyboard is an
See, we
input
can
device,
write.
which is a
We
hardware.
can give instructions like that.
Correct. Now
Yes, sir.
when you press kernel, you will find, or you will see it on the screen.
Okay.
What is the screen?
Screen is a output device. We can see. We can display anything.
Okay. So who is responsible for taking the input and showing the output?
Uh, responsible. Responsible. I think CPU, sir. It's main processor like that.
Right. But you know, someone has to
Uh,
process it, and someone
yes.
has to store it, and then
Yes,
control
sir.
the whole thing, right? So
Yes.
the software that you're using is Google Docs, and
Google
the
Docs.
output
Yes.
that you're seeing is the output that you're seeing on the screen is
Yes.
is output device, and the place where you have entered all the words and letters is the input device, that is keyboard. All of these,
Yes.
like the hardware, the Google Docs software, which is running on top of a browser, and then
Yes.
beneath that you have an operating system. So operating system,
Yes.
which is a bridge between your input and the output. It will take the input, it will process the output, and then it will give you the information, or it will process the information for you. And then how the operating
Yes.
system works: operating system basically runs on top of kernel. Kernel will talk to all the hardware related devices beneath your laptop or desktop or wherever it is, and then that will fetch the information, process it, and then give it to the front end device or the output device, or and vice versa, right? So
Okay.
that is the kernel for you. So
Okay.
how kernel talks to hardware? There is a code which is written, which is a machine level language, which the kernel will understand, is a hardware abstraction layer. The hardware abstraction layer fetches the input, and then, so you can say that operating system is a bridge between the input and the output devices.
Okay. Sir, about kernel, this is
Uh-huh.
not a physical hardware. It's a software, something like that, na?
Yes. So kernel is integrated within the operating system. I'll try to show you 1 second.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Can you see the screen here?
Yes, sir. Now I can see the screen.
Okay, so so the hardware layer is your CPU, memory,
Mm.
and then devices, correct? Like keyboard, and then mouse, and then display. All these are the devices, right?
Device.
So
Yes.
kernel, as I said, is a bridge between these hardware, input output devices, as well as CPU, memory, right? What
Okay.
it does is, an operating system is, the whole thing which is running on top of your computer. It
Okay.
comprises of kernel, it comprises of applications, it also comprises of, there are certain error handling, and then there are a lot of code which it takes care of it, right? There are certain self-healing softwares where it actually automatically heals, or it will select the best available hardware, and there are so many things that are there within the operating system.
Okay.
So in general, kernel, as I
Okay.
said, is the heart of the operating system, which connects to the devices, and it also connects
Okay.
to the upper layer software applications. So as you rightly mentioned, all these things are coded, right? Some of them are
Okay.
able to understand the machine level language that it can talk to the devices, and then it can
Mm.
translate that machine level information, or the language input, to a high level language output, be it a C or C++, or it can be VC++, it can be .NET, anything which is, which the applications will understand.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
is this clear?
Yes, sir. Clear. Clear. Sir, one doubt actually for Linux, a kernel is there like that. Windows also one kernel is there, na?
Yes,
Because
yes. So kernel is
everyone.
a common for both Windows and Linux, but how
Okay.
it is written is something which is completely different to each other.
Okay. Okay. Sir. Fine.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Right. Now let's, before we wrap for today, I just want to make sure that you understand the basics of it. If you can share your screen, there are list of softwares that we need to install on your laptop. Okay, since we have to do it remotely,
Okay.
we will install VirtualBox on top of your computer. So I
Okay.
will share you the links. Okay, so if I go to VirtualBox, you need to click on this link. I'll put it in chat. Okay, that is the link. So once you go to VirtualBox, so you will find an option called as download VirtualBox
Sir, that
6.1 or something.
VirtualBox I already have installed on VirtualBox, sir. Oracle.
Yeah,
This one,
Oracle
sir.
VirtualBox.
Oracle. Yes,
Wait,
sir. I have one Oracle VirtualBox, sir. Here, I have one.
okay, you already have it. Okay, nice. So do you have
Yes.
any
Yes.
virtual operating system?
Virtual operating system. This.
Like, have you installed Linux on top of your Windows or something like that?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, here one of my friend installed this one, Oracle VM VirtualBox, and this one have one CentOS, sir. CentOS system. CentOS.
Okay, very good, very good. So
Yeah.
we will go step by step by installing the Linux on top of VirtualBox. So let it be whatever it is there as of today. So on
Okay.
top of it, we will install different operating systems. So we will
Okay.
install Ubuntu, we will install Debian, and since you already have CentOS, we will install Fedora. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So what I would request is, what type of internet connectivity you have?
It's a PG Wi-Fi connection, sir.
Okay, all right. So
Okay.
search for Fedora Linux, and then you will find a link like getfedora.org. Okay, go to this link
Okay.
and download Fedora from there. So you will find something like this: Fedora Workstation, Fedora Server. So I would recommend you to download the Fedora Workstation.
Fedora.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in this there is something called as 32-bit and then other one. So I
Yeah.
want you to download the I want you to download the x86-64 DVD ISO. This one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the one. I'll just copy paste so that you'll not get confused. And similarly, if you go to Ubuntu download, what is the RAM size on your laptop?
RAM size 16 GB, sir. 16 GB.
Oh, very nice. It's more than enough. So you can say download 20.04 LTS. Okay, so this is the basic requirements for it: 4 GB system memory, 25 GB hard drive space, and things like that. So click on download. Okay, when you go
Okay.
to Ubuntu, click on desktop, and
Yes,
from
sir.
there you can find Ubuntu version. Okay,
Oh, okay.
all right.
All right.
Okay, so one last thing that, as I said, we will also try um, Debian.
Debian.
So go to debian.org, and then here you will find something called as getting Debian. Here you can click on 64-bit. One second. So you can find network install from a minimal CD. Okay, so I will share the link. Don't worry, you don't have to browse all the places.
Okay.
So you just copy paste this link. You should get started with the download of that image. Okay, so I will show you different types of installing the package. Okay,
Okay, sir. Okay.
by tomorrow download all of these. So we will have the installation session tomorrow.
Okay.
Meanwhile, do you have any questions for me?
Okay. Questions, sir. Actually, I have one doubt, a personal doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am already, my age is 28. A lot of time I was versed in my both section and government side. I looking sometime and I then a lot of job in mechanical. I couldn't show my things now. I already 28 and my problem is how can I come up into a good position at this age with this Python and Linux. That's what I'm thinking, sir.
See, I'll tell you this. So this is something which is a knowledge which will be an everlasting. Okay,
Oh,
Linux and Python are something which is very much required in the industry. So whatever we are doing is helping you to understand the basics of Linux as an operating system, and then how do you use it or apply it to the day-to-day tasks that we do in the server management or server administration or the infrastructure management services, or be it in the cloud. So once you know the
oh,
basics of Linux and Python, that will give you a solid foundation to either pursue your career into cloud or pursue your career into anything for that matter of fact, because these two will be the founding stones for anything that you want to do it in the IT,
Okay.
be it data science, be it big data, or be it machine learning, um,
Uh-huh.
right? Or even you can apply these skills in your 3D printing software as well. So cloud is something which is you know there is something called as SMAX, right? SMAX
Yeah.
means like social, which is like Facebook and then all those things where you will have a lot of business opportunities. Media is another business opportunity where you will find a lot of things that are happening around the media, like news channels, print media, or mobile media. There are different types of media, right? And then A stands for automation. Everybody today wants to do something into automation, right?
Oh,
And then C stands for cloud, where people today are not ready to invest on infrastructure. They want to have something which is ready to use, right?
okay.
Like in those days, we used to buy rice, we used to buy urud dal, and then prepare the batter, and then used to make dosa. Right?
Oh,
Today, you just walk into the shop, and then batter is ready for you. Just bring it, cut the packet, and then eat the dosa. Right? So
yeah.
what is the difference between the two? You're not taking pain of buying and then preparing and grinding and then making all those things. That is someone else will do. They will charge
Yeah.
for that service, and then you pay it, and then you start using it. Similarly,
Yeah.
in this technology, we use cloud so that the infrastructure, like running servers or running any application softwares and things like that, will be already given to you, and they will make the they will make use of the underlying technology whatever they have. The advantage for you is you don't have to bother what they have done. All you have to bother is how you're going to use it, and then apply it to your day-to-day activities, right? So
Okay.
that's the thing here. In addition to
Okay.
this, S stands for security. For everything and anything that we do, security is the prime importance. From your
Okay.
mobile, there is a passcode to protect your mobile, or there is a pattern, or there is a fingerprint scanner. Why do you need security, right? Because everything that you do is all interconnected.
Okay.
From your phone, you can by a click you can transfer lakhs of rupees to my account, or
Yes.
lakhs of rupees to someone else, just by a click. So if
Yes.
that goes to the wrong hands, then there will be a situation where you will become a bankrupt in a minute or two, right? So
Mm.
that's why security becomes paramount requirement for all the technologies that we have discussed so far. So
Oh,
if you see, these 5 topics are critical, and then they are booming in the current market, right?
oh,
Now, if you ask me, Linux and Python, I'm not sure whether Python will fit into the bill for all this, but Linux definitely yes. Linux is
okay.
applicable to almost everything that I've spoken to you right now. So having a Linux knowledge, see, what we do here is cover you up with the fundamentals and the basics, give you the strong foundation of Linux. I would
Okay.
recommend after this, you can go for higher level certification based courses. For example, Red Hat gives you the certification, and
Okay.
SUSE gives you the certification. There are certain learning paths which are available in those particular technology. If you take example of Red Hat, they have OpenShift, which is very much focused on cloud-based automation, right?
Oh,
Ansible, which is focused on automating some of the mundane activities, right? Like
mm.
that, Red Hat Satellite is something which is about to managing the Red Hat platforms. So,
Oh,
in similarly, SUSE has its own certification. So
oh,
like that, this based on this foundation, once you have the clear and the proper understanding, you can go for next level of courses or next level of things that you would like to pursue.
okay.
Okay,
Sir,
so
like Linux, they are giving certification on Red Hat. For same like Python, which certification is available, sir?
Okay, Python is a language, right? So there is no proper certification in general. There are
Okay.
like companies who train people. They will certify that, you know, hey, this guy has attended the training courses, and
Okay.
then this guy is responsible for handling Python in a better way and things like that. They will certify it and then give it to you. But
Oh,
there is no certification body who will certify that yes, this guy is a Python certified
oh,
person from a group or from an organization.
okay. So Python
Because
we just need the experience certificate.
correct. So because Python, whatever you do in Python, there will be like 100 different ways to do it. The
Okay.
same thing can be done in at least 50 to 100 different ways. So people, we cannot tell that, you know, this is right or this is wrong.
Okay.
You know, it depends on the agility, performance of the code. It depends on the you know, how, you know, like, can you run it for 1,000 systems or can you run it for 50 systems? There are various factors that will come into picture.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Actually, one more doubt I have. Out of our syllabus, when I was in Bangalore, I talk about more people who are working already in IT. So, how the opportunities coming in? If as a fresher, I am starting with Python, or and another guy starting with JavaScript. How's the opportunities affecting, sir, for both?
See, industry opportunities will be always be there, provided you you know, you get the right you know, you you need the right mixture of um, talent, right?
Okay.
Talent plus some hands-on experience is what really need. So
Okay.
what do you mean by that? So I'll give you an example. There is a language called as COBOL. I don't know whether you heard of it.
No, sir. I don't know. I don't
So
know.
COBOL, I'll just show you. COBOL is like 100 years old.
Okay.
Uh, uh, do you believe it? Okay, I'm just exaggerating. Okay, so it's been like the one of the oldest language that is available currently, right? I'll just show you.
Sir, is it still using?
Yes, yes, that's what I was about to tell you. Okay,
Oh,
so
that,
COBOL
yeah.
was started in 1959.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So none of us were even born at that point in time. Okay, till
Yeah.
today,
Uh,
till today, people use COBOL.
okay.
Most of the banks and then the large infrastructure companies, they still
Oh,
use COBOL. And then if I just see,
okay. Sir, why they are not changing from old software to new generation softwares
see
like it?
the I just searched for COBOL jobs. I can see it is showing some US region, some different places. And if I see in Indeed.com, which is one of the best websites for the job searches, you can
Oh,
still see there are so many jobs in COBOL, which they are still hiring as of today.
okay, okay.
Okay, so language becomes integral part of a particular uh, business or technology where they don't want to move away from it because they have seen the benefits, stability, and flexibility to code. So there are close to 716 jobs even today for COBOL. I just did a search, right?
Okay.
So that means whether it is Java, Python, or whatever the language that you are learning, you need to get into the level where you should have that mastery over it.
Okay.
Okay, so that you can get only by hands-on practice, searching in the internet, googling, exploring, doing your own pet projects, um, thinking out of the box, and then trying to code for that, and then attending some of the you know, hackathon events, and then seeing how the problem is solved by the people on the fly. These are
Okay.
all the avenues to learn the language, right? So even after 15, 20 years, people will still learn that language because
Okay.
people are continuously contributing to the language. Like if you if you today search how many modules in Python, I did not even type Python, but it is automatically populated. That is why people have searched for so many things. So there are many modules which are available for Python. Okay.
Okay.
So if I go to pypy.org, which is another website which will maintain the Python's packages. So there are 2,32,000 modules are there, out of which 18 lakhs modules are already released.
Okay.
18 lakhs modules are being used for just one language.
Oh, modules.
Okay, so
Okay.
it's so huge. It is very huge, right?
Okay.
And then it becomes it becomes impossible for you to learn all these modules. There are
Yes.
specific tailor-made modules for specific purposes, right?
Oh,
Like in mechanical, you are doing so many things, but you will only focus on certain things only, right? You cannot learn 100% of mechanics.
yes, yes, correct.
Likewise, in any language, you cannot learn 100% of it.
Okay. So
Okay.
this much releases and this much modules means there is a lot of things we have to understand,
Learn.
and yes, we can learn in Python. So on our
Correct.
syllabus, what are the topics we are learning? So what are the releases or modules we
So you have
have?
that guide. Which is shared with you. Just
Yes.
take a look at it, and then you will get an understanding of what are those things that we are covering in that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so by tomorrow,
Okay.
I request you to download all this. Okay,
Okay.
and then
Okay. I'll
whatever we have discussed, you please make a note of it and then search in internet and then keep documenting in that docs.google.com. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Done.
Yeah, daily you create, or you can just have one document or create multiple documents. I leave it to you. Instead of
Okay.
calling it as Linux day one, you can call it as Linux class, and then you can put multiple pages inside it, like day one, day two, day three, day four, like that. Um,
Okay.
so I will also share lots of PDFs for you to read as and when we complete a session, so that
Okay.
my expectation and requirement for you to go through them thoroughly, and then discuss in detail. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. With that, we can end this class and then we can continue tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. We'll connect tomorrow. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, sir. Okay.